Peace, everyone. Thanks for joining me. This is the Hood Mystic, representing www.hoodmystic.com. Today we are discussing astrology, looking at some things, and the title of this video is titled Purification of the Mind. And to purify simply means to free yourself from spiritual pollution. Spiritual pollution could be defined as excessive individualism, an obsession with money, practicing into imperialistic type superstitions, and also excessive pornography. So one could then define spiritual pollution as very subtle things that we do that disrupt us from our truth. And to purify oneself is to free yourself from those things. The things that are extremely subtle but affect us and impact us emotionally. And to deal with our emotions is to actually deal with our sixth sense. So, in utilizing our sixth sense, we want to make sure that we are aware of it, we can perceive it, that we are in communion and union with our truth. We have a human side of us, but we also have a larger soul. And in that space, fully communing and dealing with the soul and some of the things that the soul requires or that the soul is used to, by just infusing the subtleties, we could easily, understand this energy. And by understanding this energy, we could apply it and live fruitful and prosperous lives and have a fruitful and positive day. So the planets that we'll be discussing this morning are Mercury. Since today is Wednesday is ruled by Mercury. Mercury is still in the sign of Cancer. It is just entering the third decan of Cancer, really still processing the retrograde, still upgrading itself, and still in a space where it can think about how you feel. You can think about how you feel. We have feeling. And there are two ways to look at how you feel. You could simply, give me 1 second. No, I'm good. I was just wondering. So we could look at it in one or two ways. We could look at it through thinking about our emotions, or we could just simply experience our emotions. Mercury in Cancer is a brief period of time, well, a long period of time based upon a retrograde in the sign of Cancer, where we have a long time to have some form of retrospect on how we feel. And once we understand how we feel, we are developing what is called maturity. And maturity leads to perfection, because maturity is an understanding that you are just not this individual being put on this earth for your own individualistic ideals. You're not put on this earth to get money. You're not put on this earth to have wild sex. These are very simple things, but if not checked, these things can take over your life for years, and you have no idea that you're trapped in spiritual pollution. It's one thing to be on trash. It's another thing to want to grow spiritually and divine and become one with God. That's a whole nother thing. The whole concept has to open you up to the possibility of a more you. And so if we're going to discuss purification of the mind, we can easily find this concept in the rites of baptism. Billions of people look at baptism as being getting dunked into the water. But if we're going to use our rational brains here, what is that going to do? You're just going to be dunked in water and your life's not going to change. So therefore, the baptism ritual isn't what's hidden. That's not what we're aiming for. We're mature enough and smart enough to know we're not going to dunk ourselves into water. So if we're still going to keep going and continue to study what a baptism is talking about, it's talking about refreshing your soul. And if we're going to refresh our soul, there is an element of water that is not physical, for it is astral. To purify our mind means to purify our mind of the astral plane, the plane of imagination. This plane of imagination can get you so far and so deep into your fantasies that you lose track of reality. Because reality is not good or bad. It's both. It's hot outside, I'ma sweat. It's cold outside, I need a coat. Reality. And we very well could say, oh, I hate living in Ohio. I hate living in New York. I hate living in Minnesota. It's so cold here. Well, why the hell are you there if you hate it, right? We have to begin to accept our reality as is. But it's hard to accept it as is when you're by yourself. The realization of relying on one another is what the soul is used to. If the soul has been dormant for millions of years, you're not gonna wake him up and then be like, hey, it's just me and you in here. We just gonna do this, just me and you, bro. Me and you, sis. No. That wasn't the purpose, plan, nor destiny for me to live in this vacuum with your ass. We got a whole tribe to begin to connect to. And this is what Cancer speaks to as well, connection. Still in that zone. Still in that process. There's a level of senses that we have that represents the external world. But then you know what it's like to get a sense of something. I have a sense of humor. I have a sense of style. I have common sense. That speaks to an appreciation for what you perceive after a long period of time. So appreciating what you perceive is another level, which moves into the emotional realms, thus creates a sixth sense. I see dead people, right? Everybody around me is not caring about their inner spiritual development. And this is all I can think of. Are they right or am I right? I think that by understanding myself with the goal of understanding other people, that should be the recourse. I do not think that by acquiescing to ignorance and nonsensical thought or purely sensical thought and not developing a sense for what you're sensing, you're creating more blockages for yourself because you're going the wrong way. Unless you freed yourself from spiritual pollution, you're in a polluted state. So if your mind hasn't been and in this conversation, it's not like you could tell me or you could tell your friends I've purified my mind. No, you couldn't. It's very personal, very intimate. I've let go of the things, right? I've let go of all of these old concepts. No, actually you haven't. Actually, you're still wishing and praying for that old shit to come true, right? And this is the block. This is why can't nobody help us, or can't nobody help you, or can't nobody help me, is because we want to bring into manifest things that cannot be brought into manifest because it's old and it doesn't represent the spiritual union of God. It represents the lack, right? It represents the pain. It represents the sorrow that we just always focus on, and we don't have a choice. It's like being in polluted waters. If you're in polluted waters, you cannot say, oh, these waters aren't polluted. These waters are fresh and clean. Yeah, you can say that. But the reality of the water is, no, this ain't right. Something ain't right about this. Is you making a little stinker for attention, brother? Huh? You up there screaming? Oh man, this is crazy. This is so crazy. I could hear him. I could hear him just screaming the whole time I've been talking. Oh my goodness. So, if we haven't moved to a space where we've accepted a new consciousness, and the moon travels through Aries every 28 days. The concept of holding on to things is brought. You about to stay upstairs for a long time? Okay. It's brought from really understanding the cycles of letting go and purifying yourself. As the moon goes through Pisces, it hits Aries every 28 days. Right. It's hilarious. And getting used to this cycle represents a mature brain. We understand that we could pollute ourselves and get convoluted by different things. We could watch TV and be subconsciously programmed and not even necessarily know we're being subconsciously programmed. So this why purification of the mind is more important than the things that you retain or the things that you watch or the things that you learn. Every day is a new day and a new opportunity to be in the moment. And if we're not in the moment, then we're truly not connected, meaning that we're truly coping and truly trying to bring about old ideas that do not speak to our psychology. Psychology is simply meaning the study of our souls. And if we haven't studied our souls, then what the hell are we studying, right? What are we studying if we aren't studying our soul? What is more important than your living soul? I haven't found anything yet to speak to the importance or something more important than the soul or the spiritual development. And I haven't actually seen it work through in real terms and understand it on a daily realization, and not like, oh, I was the greatest spiritual nigga 10 years ago. Now everybody treat me with so much respect, but I won't help you do a damn thing. You better listen to my old videos. You know, but when it comes to right now, and it comes to pain, and it comes to development, if it ain't for views, if it ain't for likes, then motherfuckers is not having it. So when it comes to breakthroughs, a lot of it is internal, a lot of it is personal, but it's never like, oh, I'm gonna have this thing be personal and all about me forever. No, it's because I want to be the best teammate. I want to be the best partner. I want to be the best lover. I want to be the best friend. So I have to find that shit within myself first before I can offer it to my wife, before I can offer it to my children. So my whole purpose in working on myself and even being an introvert or even wanting to be by myself is not to go fuck off. It's to continue to refine myself, better myself, so I can help my family. So I could possibly be a beacon so they can help their family. My sons, they'll have families. I want them to know what it's like to be a man, to think about others. Because you could raise a man to think about himself. And those types of men is why our society is suffering, because all they do is think about themselves. They think about their money, they think about their sex, they think about their houses, they think about their clothing. They don't know shit about their family though, right? They don't know shit about their kids though, because they pay their child support on time, right? So what else more do you want from me? I'm living my best life. Stop hating, right? These are the type of men that this culture has created based upon spiritual pollution, excessive individualism, an obsession with money, and a proliferation for pornography. Hallelujah. So, in order to really have a breakthrough or get to a space where you can rise above all the turmoil, all of the emotional fragments, and all of the things that you're going through, you have to work on yourself, not for yourself, not with this individualism, like I gotta take care of me. Self-preservation is the number, blah, blah, blah. No, you gotta take care of yourself because you know that once you get to a certain state, you have to connect with other people. Period. So if you're not building yourself up for that moment, then you have no real direction, no real purpose, no real destiny. Destiny is not found in a vacuum. Success is not found in a vacuum. Who are you going to sell these millions of products to? Yourself? Who are you going to fall in love with? Yourself? I mean, yeah, but no. Hell no. Yeah. To cope, as a good coping mechanism, love yourself, that works, right? That works. But realistically, right, good and bad, right, you want to be with somebody at a certain point in time. So this denial is based upon the inundation of, external information and being manipulated by your five senses, and then when feelings rise, you're not able to think of it. So this window in this retrograde is very perfect for retrospection, introspection, and all of those types of things, because figuring out who you are, figuring out your purpose, figuring out your tribe is going to lead to a breakthrough. Even if you can just scale it back for a couple of seconds and think about how your products help people, how your articles help people, how your social media posts help people, how when you call somebody, how is this phone call going to help somebody? When you go into work, how many people at work are you going to help? When you go home, how are you going to help your children? A lot of us are too hurt to think about this type of shit though. We can only think of ourselves and our survival. So that's perfectly fine, but put the spiritual shit down, right? Because it's gonna be so confusing. Oh, I've been studying. I talk to them and they have a sense of the spiritual, but they're too damn selfish to even make it make sense, right? It's not even important to you, right? Because This obsession with money is way more important than your goddamn soul and your past lives, your children, and your legacy, right? This little money that you're gonna get and spend, right? You're gonna get it, spend it, but it's so important to have it, spend it, and your soul's there. Like, you mean to tell me money and sex is before me? You're gonna put me third? You're not even gonna put me third. You're gonna put me like 56 on the list of shit that you're trying to get to and shit that you're gonna accomplish in life. You wanna get to a vacation more than you wanna meditate. You will work towards a vacation. You will work towards a shopping spree, but you would not work towards developing your soul, because you wouldn't never get to the point of the purpose of connecting, right? You wouldn't understand that the purpose of all this is to bring you closer to other people, because you're too hurt to even get to that level. So this is where self-management and self-direction and understanding that you do not live in a vacuum, and more so, your astral world ain't nothing but you fantasizing about being with people any damn way. You dream and hope and wish to be with people, for people to love you, to love others. This is what we all hope for. This is what we all wish for. We don't hope and wish for anything other than this, unless we're dealing with a level of spiritual pollution. And spiritual pollution can only cause us to react. It can only cause us to be in a space of difficult emotions, because these emotions rise and we feel them. And when they rise and feel them, if we have no mental capacity surrounding them, we have no emotional intelligence surrounding them, we act on them, and we can be isolated in our pain. That's the good way. That's the American way. That's the way where nobody's gonna judge you. Just isolate yourself, cry alone, deal with your shit, stay in that toxic relationship, stay in that bullshit job, and just live in that pain because everybody's doing it. Or you can become ratchet and fight the world, hate the world, feel the world's against you because you're against yourself. This world is so free and so open for you to enjoy it and to sustain yourself without capitalism, without racism, without injustice. But your culture and the people that you're surrounded with, they could only look at this one particular thing. And the reason why is because you would want to get around like-minded people, people who look like you, people who talk like you, people who think like you, people who act like you. But you ain't gonna grow from that shit. You're not gonna grow from that. All y'all gonna do is look at the same. You know what brings people together? Having the same enemy. Nothing brings people together like having the same enemy. Thus, this is the mind control, propaganda, big bad Illuminati trick that they're doing. They are the enemy, and the enemy will unite us into some crash dummy shit. To always look at the negativity that's being spewed against us. Spewed against who? I'm gonna ask you. Who is it against? Is it against your tribe? Are they talking to you? Or are they talking to a blanketed term of people who automatically acquiesce to this big bad enemy? And I'm telling you what they're doing. They're playing psychological games with your ass. If you know your soul, you can point it out. Oh, you're trying to distract me. You're trying to persuade me. You're trying to sell to me. That's interesting that you think I would be interested in this bullshit. But actually, I'm in tune with myself so deeply, and I know my purpose is in connecting with my tribe. No, not the whole tribe. Not everybody that represents Black America and everybody that has dark skin. because that would be a setup for failure, because there's a lot of people with dark skin that's on your payroll, and that would throw me under the bus quicker than I can say hoodmystic.com. So therefore, I'm going to have to choose my tribe wisely and carefully with my soul's consent, and I'm going to develop my soul space to the level of sovereignty so deep and so strong that any nigga talking about paperwork, sign this, do this, is gonna be completely on. It's not even gonna make sense. Cause I wake up every morning and I'm in my world, right? It's a beautiful world. It's very easy and just very connect. Like, I can't even explain my life to a person where it would make sense. All I can tell you is that I'm very happy and very at peace, and I'm processing this shit, and I'm thinking about my emotions in such a way that I'm overriding them and then trusting in the divine and allowing to make major changes in my life, major changes in my development, and not in one way. It's very multifaceted and very much like a peacock would be arranged. You know, it's hard to just pinpoint what color it is and the design of it. It's just beautiful, right? This is life for me. And whether it is or it isn't, this is the choice that I'm making by affirming this constantly, daily. The power of baptism is that it washes away old whack ass affirmations that you told yourself. I'm not beautiful. I'm not pretty. I'm broke. I'm this. I need this job. I need this relationship. If I don't have this relationship, I'm gonna die. If I don't have this job, I'm gonna be homeless. If I don't live here, if I'm homeless, people going da 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 da, on and on and on and on and on. Like Erykah Badu. Washing all of that away, you now get to create new affirmations for yourself. And the affirmations that I tell myself are long and endless, but it's not, I don't even, like, it's hard for me to be in negative spaces or exchange in negative emotions because I'm dealing with my purified mind. And so today, this is available for all of us. Just to be free, you know? Just to be free in our minds, in our experiences, let go and take hold of new affirmations and understand that coming together is not a utopia type of thing. Coming together is learning the differences, growing through our differences, understanding the power of differences, understanding that we could all do a multiple of varied things, and not just for ourselves, for others. John, what is going on today? He wants to sing. Oh my goodness. Why are you looking at me like that? What are you gonna do? Knock the cord out. Okay, we back. So the card of the day, the Princess of this. So yesterday we dealt with the prince. Today we're dealing with the princess, and I want us to remind ourselves that the prince and the princesses are more powerful than the kings and the queens, because the prince and the princesses are a culmination of energy. So your children are more powerful than you, right? because they represent a culmination of DNA. So we have to uplift our children. We have to elevate our children. We cannot act like we're over our children and boss hog over our children, because our children, by the result of a combination of DNA, are more powerful than us. So in the Thoth Tarot deck, the Princess of Dis is pregnant. And she represents the mother that, or the daughter that has now become a mother. And therefore, she speaks to the cycle of life. And in the midst of this cycle of life, no matter what's going on behind her, because you can see the barren trees and the trees have no leaves and things like that, the life that she creates within herself is all the restoration that she needs. So let's take into understanding the power of a human being. A human being could be rich, poor, black, white, indifferent, multicolored, and still create life. He cannot create, or she cannot create this thing by herself. She needs a partner, right? But with that partner, life can be created. Now, we can create a baby together, me and my wife, or we can create an idea. We can create a business. And we could be isolated in our union, or we could involve people in our union and grow our union, because we've understood that me and her coming together is much powerful, especially with an intention. If we have an intention, me and her, whether it's children, clean up the house, take a trip, it works well together, because she gonna pack the bags, I'ma drive, or whatever the case may be. She gonna pack the lunches, I'ma eat the lunches. You feel me? I don't know why that was so funny, but what I'm saying is, when two people get together, whatever is around them, it could be barren, it could be empty, it could be nothing, but the union that they have can create life. This isn't some made up shit or some deep spiritual shit. This is real life. This is real life. And so the Princess of Dis represents our physical base. The root of enlightenment is suffering, is pain. Without those things, we cannot become enlightenment. And to be enlightened is to recognize that pain and recognize the soul and understand both of these things exist in the same place, in the same time, and there is no justification, no utopia, no paradise, unless you're going to get with somebody to create that paradise. And we can do this in our relationships, but we have to be purified of the mind and purified of the old together. And even more so, even if you're not even in a relationship, there is a power that comes in calmness and peace. Even more so, it's encapsulated in the quote that I have. Peace is for the purification of one's mind. Power is for the growth of the community. Having established the community with power, one then establishes supreme peace. We have to really get used to cycles. We have to understand that the trees are barren, then they're full. And while they're bearing, we start to prepare for a harvest. sometimes we get into negative spaces. Sometimes we don't have enough money. Sometimes we single. Sometimes we don't have a job. Sometimes we just in a bad place, right? That's fair to say. There's articles that you could write, Kim. There's awareness that you could bring to it. By being silent, this is not about being silent and being unaware, but in your viewpoint of viewing the world, you're not alone. And the idea of media, the idea of getting your word out, the idea of networking is when you notice something, when you see something, then you got people like me, people like, other people who begin to share your message and begin to alert people that, hey, this shit is going down. Yesterday, we were in the Mars principle. It's the active principle. Nothing about my talks is passive and you should do nothing, right? I don't never want to come across as that. I believe in being peaceful within myself as a form of power. But when shit happens, I respond like that. I'm not the type of person that's just gonna sit and let things happen, nor speak to what my ancestors tell me to speak to. Can I take down all of the injustices by myself? Absolutely not. But can I unify with others and bring awareness and bring healing and bring peace to other people when needed, on a personal level, on a collective level? Absolutely. And this is what I'm gonna do every day. So it's never about doing nothing. It's never about standing and watching and letting stuff happen. Certain people can say certain things, certain people can't say certain things based upon who going to even listen to them. So if we are noticing things, let's speak on it for sure. But then again, it's so multi-layered and so multifaceted. We shouldn't be worried and just frustrated by the external world without taking time to get to a point of our inner self. If the outer world is frustrating you and bothering you and disrupting you, it's gonna be a hard battle to find peace and fight in that outer world is all. There's so much of a great shift that's taking place that we could feel responsible or that we need to do something. But then are we fully factoring in propaganda? Are we fully factoring in conspiracy? Are we fully factoring in mind control? Are we fully factoring in emotional hijacks? Are we fully factoring in historical hijacks? Are we fully factoring in, do we know our history? Do we know our legacy? Is all my DNA activated? Is my chakras aligned? Like all of these things that we could get caught up in, but we could get caught up in ourselves and align ourselves and be the best person for the team, be the best person for others. So it works hand in hand. And this is not a conversation that you can have with other people. This is a conversation that you must have with yourself. Am I doing the best that I can for myself? If you are, then great. You out here, you getting it popping. But if you not, then you gonna come off here with one leg, you're not gonna be fully prepared for the real world, because the real world is good and bad together. Ooh. Uh-oh. Peace. Yeah. But calmness could be implied as passive, though. Peace could be implied as passive. It could mean you a punk or something like that, you know? But I don't know. It's just like there are people who fight, though. And the world is still going through what the world is going through, with people fighting and doing the things that they've been doing, protesting, infiltrating the system, etc., etc. I find that if we fully, really get down to the get down and fully engage with our soul, we can really change the world. And the more of us do it in unison, in full intent on changing the world, we have that power. And the problem is we don't necessarily know we have that power to change the external world. And this is what we call magic. This is what we call divination, because we are gods and we have a level of control. We have a level of benevolence. We have a level of spiritual will that, unless we've engaged with it, unless we've tapped into it, unless we've dealt with it, then these are just things that just sound like words. But what I'm saying is that there's a level within us that we haven't fully reached yet as a collective. And this is what they're afraid of. This is what they want to stop. This is why they wouldn't spread this kind of message. This message would be kind of subdued and kind of capped off. Where, you know, if I was doing a dog video or showing off my cat, I would probably be going viral, you know. Whatever is nothing is what's going to be promoted and escalated and put on the higher tier. When you're talking truth and when you're talking about real changes, the reason why it's being suppressed is because us coming together, us having an intent, us incorporating our oversouls into the movement without bias, without judgment, without, oh, I want to have sex with you later type shit, you know. I'm going to do all this spiritual stuff. I'm going to say all these spiritual things and I just really want to have sex. Like, outside of that, oh, I want to tell you all this spiritual stuff and I just really want your money. Outside of that, there's a level of spiritual practice. There's a level of spiritual union that no matter what the world shows you, you could produce. And this is what the Princess of Dis speaks to. She is in a barren forest and she is pregnant and she is fertile, meaning that the external world does not define her. She still is magical in the projects, in the hood. She's not in a mansion. She's not, you know, in the highest of heights, but she's fruitful and she's representing the harvest to come. So in that space, we have to really have hope and faith on our collective for a brighter day. And not just hope and faith, but faith without works is dead, right? And so I'm trying to have a peaceful video, and I guess peace is the nemesis to my son, and me and him are at odds right now. He wants his own YouTube channel for babies, you know what I'm saying? Just him going off, going crazy in the baby language. I might need to set that up for him. He wants attention. Thank you guys for joining me. Be sure to like this video. Be sure to share this video. Be sure to subscribe to my channel if you haven't. At www.hoodmystic.com. Be sure to apply this information. You know, be sure to purify your mind. Wash your mind anew and see what comes about. Don't hold on to old ideas. Allow new things to enter your being. And don't hope for anything, don't wish for anything with a purified mind. Just hope for that, just hope for the mind to be fully purified. And once you have a fully purified mind, create the affirmations that speak to what you want to experience. Be sure that it's not selfish. And include people and watch these things manifest. These are spiritual practices that have existed for millions of years, if you would believe that. The power of baptismal is not just being washed in the river or washed in the ocean. It is representative of the astral waters that we were created from, the astral waters of noon, the primordial waters for which this world was created from, Atlantis, and things of that nature. So purifying your mind is really tapping into a level of spirituality and a level of grace that can override all madness, sadness, and pain. So taking it to the next level every day, it feels like, and I'm happy that you guys are joining me. Thank you guys, and I'll see you guys tomorrow. Peace.